What's up, Ian here, and this is my review for the KZ LinLong single dynamic driver IEM, and this is $16 US. It's very budget, and you know what, is actually a very easy recommendation from me. It sounds good for $16 US, so please go get it. But of course, I'm sure you guys want to know more details about this IEM, so please stick around. Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank KZ for sending this to me and making this video possible. But guys, rest assured that whatever I say in this video is my own opinion. This video is not scripted, and KZ will be watching this video together with you guys. So yes, as I mentioned, $16 US. Please go get it. It's really, it sounds good for $16 US. Okay, the links are in the description below, so please go check it out. It's unaffiliated, so I'm not making anything from it. So as usual, in this video, I'll go through the accessories, the fit and comfort, the design and build quality, and of course, I'll share with you guys my sound impression of this IEM. At the same time, I'll compare it with some of MOONDROP's IEM as well, so please stick around for that. Now, this video will be timestamped, so for those of you who wish to skip around, please feel free to do so. Right, it comes in a very simple box like this, and KZ wants to keep it simple so that it can transfer the benefits to the accessories so that, you know, you get better accessories. Yeah, so very simple box. You got a picture of the IEM in front. At the back, you do get some specs, so quickly go through that. 25 ohms for the impedance, 103 for the sensitivity, and the frequency range is 20 to 40,000 hertz. Okay, right, so inside the box you'll get, of course, a user guide. I'm not going to go through that, and a case. Now this is a very nice case, right? This is a plastic case, a hard shell case, right? Finally, KZ provides a hard shell case, and this is really good. It's essential, it's functional, it's cheap, it breaks, and then you can buy a new one. But you know, the fact that it's provided in the package, that's a really good thing for $16 US. Some other IEMs or other brands, they provide pouches and all that, which, you know, is not really functional. If I sit on it, my IEM is still gonna break. But yeah, this is really good. Okay, so plastic with the a latch here, though it's not waterproof, but you know, it still works. I can sit on this all I want, and my IEM will still be in one piece. Okay, and then silicone ear tips. Now this silicone tips are pretty standard, is nothing special, you know, is, yeah, nothing special about these ear tips. So it's functional, it's okay. I wouldn't use this. I'll use my own ear tips. But for those of you who are on a budget, yeah, it's provided there. Okay, and then the cable, right? So this is KZ's typical cable, right? Yeah, it's fixed, right? So you can't change, you can't, you know, take it out from the IEM. Even though if you like the IEM, you don't like the cable, you're stuck with it. Okay, so yeah, the cable is very typical. I mean, I'm sure you guys watch a lot of my videos, and this is the typical KZ cable, which I'm not going to go through. So the IEM itself, right? So this IEM is kind of special. It's got a Zune 6 driver in there, and the driver is an external driver. Basically, what happens is that usually in an IEM, the driver is inside the shell, but this is outside the shell, and inside the shell there are some cables, of course, and it's open back, right? So this allows, this design allows this IEM to have an open back, and it's great. It adds a lot of value to this IEM and it makes it sound really good. Okay, nozzle is where the tuning kind of metal filter is, and yeah, it makes it sound good. So nozzles, the entire construction of this is made of metal, aluminum, and the construction is sturdy, it's fixed, and it's not too heavy. It's kind of light. It's aluminum. The nozzle is normal shape, the normal size, and it's got a metal filter. And at the back here, this is where the magic happens. This is where it's open back, right? Sound can go in, sound can travel out. There's no pressure, there's no ear fatigue or anything like that. You can put this on the ear and it doesn't hurt my ear. Okay, it doesn't give me any pain, right, when I'm inserting this. Very good design. I like this. Okay, right, so that's for the design and then build quality and all that. So now let's talk about the sound. So let me just bring up my iPad. Okay, now before I talk about the sound, let's talk about the technicalities of this IEM. And I find that for 16 bucks is a steal, right? Is the technicalities on this is phenomenal. Soundstage, because of the open back, the soundstage sounds really airy. It's got that transparent feel, transparent sound, good distance, big airy stage, and very wide stage, spaced out. The spacing on this sound stage is really good. The imaging and sound separation on this is also fantastic for 16 bucks. All right, I was amazed when I listened to this and thinking that this is well, at that time I didn't know how much it was, but when I searched KZ's website, it's like 16 bucks. Wow. So sound separation is really good, not just from the left to right. The phasing of the sound separation is really good. You can actually separate the sound very clearly. Instruments, percussions, vocals, in fact, it's got this really airy feel to it as well. It's not intimate, it's a very wide vocals, spaced out vocals, and you can actually identify the location of the vocals, maybe on the left side, on the right side, percussions on the right side, vocals on the left side, that kind of thing. So imaging is really good on this as well. The detail retrieval, oh wow, it's really clear, right? It's really clear. Though the bass does impede into the treble, and that affects the detail retrieval, nuances still can be picked up, right? So yeah, it's very detailed for $16 IEM. The resolution is also really good on $16 IEM. So basically, right, in terms of technicality, I mean, to summarize, technicalities on this is fantastic for 16 bucks. All right, so let's talk about the tone and tempo for this. The tone on this is, well, it's warm, is V-shaped, all right? As you can see, the sound signature is V-shaped. It's warm, is heavy note, and sounds very casual, all right? It's basically a casual listening IEM, all right? It sounds really soothing and very easy to listen to. Let's talk about the sound. So as I mentioned, it's a V-shaped tuned IEM with elevated bass, sub bass. In fact, the sub bass is really rumbly, and elevated treble. Okay, this is actually pretty close to Harman, as you can see, but with the extension of the sub bass, right? So let's talk about the sub bass. Sub bass is heavy. It's got a good note weight, heavy note weight actually, and it's not really heavy to a point whereby it's bass hit heavy, but it's good enough for people like me who don't really want too much treble, too much bass, sorry. And it's got good extension. The rumble of the extension is shaking to a certain point. It's not to the bass hit level type of shaking. But yeah, the earthquake on this is pretty good, all right, as with the heavy note weight, warm as well, so I like it. Okay, for the mid bass is punchy. It's got a good impact. Slam is there. Bass, guitars, and drums and all that. They sound impactful. Not to a point whereby it's really impactful. Does bleed a little bit to the mids, but that's how a V-shaped tune IEM is. You know, it does have that overall coherence in terms of the bass transition to the mids and all that. So mid bass sounds really good to me. For the mids is recessed, okay, no doubt about that, and the instruments, they sound veiled by the bass, but you know, in different IEMs, different tuning, it depends on what you want to listen to and what your preference is, right? So if you are listening to different type of genre music, then of course it depends on what kind of tuning. So for this tuning is not really suitable for classical, but you still can listen to it. It's just that it's going to be veiled. Vocals as well. Vocals, I mean, they sound good, right? With the treble here, with the gain, but is not as forward as and pronounced as other tunings. Okay, so instruments, they still have that clarity there, but it's just that they sound veiled by the bass and the mid bass. For vocals, male vocals, they sound authoritative. They got good presence, good authority, and good note weight as well. The warmth of the male vocals, they sound really pleasing, and well, it's engaging as well. I actually like listening to male vocals on this, and they sound really good. Okay, and female vocals as well, though female vocals may sound a little bit too harsh, but it is still acceptable level. It's not that harsh and that sibilant, and to a point whereby, you know, it's really fatiguing to listen to. It's not, I can last a little bit longer on this IEM than some other IEMs, but it's pretty good. It's pretty okay for the female vocals. The female vocals does have a lot of presence, a lot of energy, and a lot of emotional connection when I'm listening to this. So very good on this. Okay, now treble. So treble, I find that it's got good gain, right? The gain on this treble is some sort of in-your-face type of treble. So cymbal strikes, hi-hats, guitars, electric guitars, they've got good bite. A bit too much for some, but to me, I like it, right? It's got good bite and good presence, so the energy is there. So when I'm listening to it, it gives me that connection to my music when I'm, you know, in the zone kind of thing. So it's pretty good for that gain. For the presence, so this presence here is got a big dip here, as you can see. I find that it does mitigate some of the harshness and the sibilance, but I mean this 8K sibilance here, what I hear is actually not that sibilant. It's a bit harsh, but it's not sibilant, and it does have that a bit of a fatiguing listening experience. Okay, but the presence here, all right, if you look at this dip here, even though there's a big dip, but it's not by a lot. So in terms of presence, treble presence is actually pretty okay. It's better than some of the IEMs, which I'll compare later. Okay, so presence of this is okay. It's not too dark, it's not too bright, it's somewhere in the middle. Okay, and then of course the 8K, right? So this part here, which is the mid treble, is, as I mentioned, right, is a bit harsh. Okay, is a bit harsh. It's not that sibilant. This might be an artifact of my coupler, but what I'm hearing is, well, it's not sibilant. Okay, so I find that it's okay, it's fine, yeah, for that mid treble. Next would be the air. So this is a really good thing. I like the air on this. It makes the treble sound more engaging. It's got more lingering presence of the cymbal strikes and the hi-hats, and what I hear on this is that it's got good extension, right? The extension is good for a certain part, and then it rolls off pretty naturally. So this is actually a very good implementation of the treble with that peak there, and I kind of like it. It's not too in your face, it's not too airy, but it's just there, and also coupled together with the open back, it gives me a good airy listening experience as a whole. So this is my overall view of the KZ LinLong. Now let's compare this with some other IEMs, and mainly MOONDROP. Okay, so I'm sure you guys know that I just reviewed the MOONDROP QUARKS. Okay, so MOONDROP QUARKS, if you look at it, let me just compare the two graphs. Alright, so if you ask me bluntly, right, I think KZ came out with this LinLong in competition with the MOONDROP QUARKS, and I have it right here. So MOONDROP QUARKS, if you look at it, there's two differences. Okay, firstly, the MOONDROP QUARKS is DSP, so you can only use this MOONDROP QUARKS on Android phones. You can't use it on iPhones. Okay, and the next thing is this MOONDROP QUARKS is the dynamic driver is in the body itself, is in the shell itself, is not an external driver. So this is a closed back IEM. Next, the tuning on this is fixed on the DSP. There's DSP on this. On the LinLong, there's no DSP, right? And of course, the LinLong is open back. The QUARKS is not open back, right? And the price is almost the same, right? Negligible. Now let's talk about the tuning, right? So the tuning for this is also pretty similar. Okay, so if you look at the tuning, what I hear the difference is that firstly, the technicalities, the soundstage on the LinLong is much wider than the QUARKS. The soundstage has got more air. Okay, more air as compared to the QUARKS. QUARKS is a little bit intimate, if you ask me. Okay, well, it still has got a pretty wide soundstage, but the LinLong has got a wider one. It's more holistic type of soundstage, more realistic sounding as well. So it's more speaker-like, I would say. Yeah, when I compare to this two, this one has got more speaker-like type of soundstage. Now, for the imaging, sound separation, detail retrieval, resolution, oh man, this LinLong, it just beats this QUARKS in terms of all that. Okay, the detail retrieval, the clarity, the resolution of the sound, the LinLong. Now let's talk about the tuning, right? The tuning of this two is almost similar. In fact, what I hear on the LinLong is that it's got a bit more sub bass, right? The rumble is more extended, it's got more grunt to it, it's more earth shaking as compared to the QUARKS. Okay, so yeah, but other than that, there's a bit of mid-bass bump for the QUARKS, which I hear there's a bit more presence to the drums and the bass, and that's about it. I mean, they sound actually pretty similar in terms of the bass department. Treble as well. So treble, I would feel that they sound really similar. I can't actually, if you ask me, I listen to this together, I can't hear the difference, right? The difference I hear, it may be just a bit more air, as I mentioned, a bit more air to the treble, a bit more air to the space of the soundstage, but that's about it. You know, in terms of these two, yeah, I don't really hear much difference. They sound almost the same. Maybe the LinLong has got a bit more bite for the treble, you know, it's got a bit more energy in terms of presentation of the entire song itself. So yeah, that's minute difference which I hear. Okay, this two, I would pick the LinLong, of course. You know, in terms of the overall sound quality and the resolution that is being presented to me, this one has got a clearer sound. Right, so that concludes my overall review and comparison video of the KZ LinLong. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Right, so that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.